She patted the mare's shoulder and straightened her own. "That was one close call, old girl. This is the last time I bring you to town. Or any of our other horses." But Aunt Agatha most likely needed more wood by now. In the saddlebag, she carried a rabbit Benjamin had snared. She hoped her aunt would volunteer to repay her with some of the vegetables stored in her root cellar. The two old ladies had raised a fine garden and kept enough hens to sell a few eggs. Now, with Letty gone, Agatha lived alone in a borrowed house, a house that looked as if it would fall down if one kicked a porch post. Jesselynn rode on past the hingeless gate, now tied in place with hemp rope, and into the shed-roofed barn. The barn had been built with stalls for horses and a bay to store a buggy. The stalls had gone the way of firewood, and who knew what happened to the buggy? Most likely it was sold early on for supplies. Now only a few laying hens clucked and scratched in the dusty corners. Jesselynn tied the mare to one of the posts and, after loosening the saddle girth, swung the saddlebags over her shoulder and headed for the house. Off to her left, the remains of a garden long ago harvested appeared to be sprouting new cabbage from the stalks. A row of greens had shot up new growth, too. Jesselynn ducked under the clothesline and crossed the muddy soil to check on the green leaves that looked so bright against the bleached cornstalks. Each time she came, she'd been cutting more of the garden refuse for the hens. If they had some fencing, they could build a run from the barn to the garden and let the hens help themselves. Had her aunt even been outside to see this bit of bounty? Back at the door, she dragged her boots across the scraper set into the step, trying to remove the mud from the garden. Not hearing anyone moving around, she knocked and waited. No answer. Had Aunt Agatha gone somewhere? If so, where? She pounded on the door, rattling the frame as she did so. She should have brought Mashak along to make necessary repairs. Still, no answer. She turned the knob and pushed open the door, sticking her head in to call for her aunt again before she entered. Removing a hat that looked as if some rodent had been nibbling the brim, she ran her fingers through hair that had recently been darkened by walnut husk dye and shorn by Ophelia, formerly one of her father's slaves, and now freed along with the rest of them. Ophelia had cut only men's hair before, but since Jesselynn was acting that part, short was best, and ragged didn't hurt. Since the shearing had happened the night before, Jessie was still trying to get used to it. Would she ever be able to have long hair again, and regain her place in the world of women? Did she even want to? She brushed mud and horsehair off her breeches. Her apparel was always a bone of contention between her and her aunt. At least if her clothes were clean, maybe the old lady wouldn't huff so stridently. "Aunt Agatha?" Jesselynn laid the rabbit carcass that she had skinned and wrapped in brown paper on the table and traipsed through the house, checking every room in case her aunt had fallen or something. No one was about. Surely she hadn't left that long ago and would be back soon. The stove was still warm and embers glowed in the firebox. Jesselynn added a few more sticks of wood and filled a pot with water from the reservoir. Taking a knife from the drawer, she cut up the rabbit and put the pieces in the heating water. She found an onion in the pantry, chopped and added it, along with salt and pepper, and set the lid on the kettle. Now, how else could she make herself useful? Nothing was out of place. Each tabletop was dust-free. Her aunt's Bible lay on the whatnot table by her chair, the bookmark set in the New Testament. Jesselynn flipped open the pages and read the words of 2 Corinthians 1, shaking her head. The Lord of Comfort had been remarkably absent from her life in the last months. Of course her saying, nay, screaming, "I want nothing to do with you, you don't bother me and I won't come sniveling to you," might have something to do with that. She shivered in the chilly house, though it wasn't cold. Life just wasn't what she had dreamed it to be, all because of that wicked war. She gritted her teeth and returned to the kitchen. Perhaps she should start bread. She combed the pantry, but the empty shelves told their own story. Her aunt had not had money to put in supplies, and Jesselynn had nothing to give to her. She and her band were living hand-to-mouth as it was. Surely she could put flour and sugar and such on the